Today's video, I'm going to be making something to showcase my systems for the van. So I got my stuff laid out kind of in the way I want it. I mean, there's only 4 things, so there's only so many ways I can lay it out. And I'm going to cut a walnut board 13 inches by 13 inches, and that'll get me started. Alright, cut my piece of plywood, put my things on there. I'm going to add my switches. I was going to put them on the side over here and flip them on, but it's not that far of a reach to just reach up here. And I think it looks a little bit better with more on it. I'm just putting them there purely based on the fact that it was a big panel with not too many things on it. Alright, so I'm going to mark all these holes and then cut out the plywood where I need it to, so these things can fit and recess against the front of the panel. Nice. Not nice. Got to cut that one out a little more. There we go. Easy enough. Looking good. Not everything's attached. I want to take everything off and clear coat it right quick before I attach everything. Now that we got that drying, I'm going to make the actual box that will hold a bottom cabinet, and I'm going to do some those roll up. They're called tambour doors. I think that's how you pronounce it. But there's really thin slices of wood that roll up into the cabinet to kind of make the door disappear. You'll see when I get there if you don't know what I'm talking about. I was trying to figure out the highest point right here, which looks like 37 5/8, and I'm going to cut 2 pieces to 37 5/8, and then I'm going to figure out this scribe, the curvature of the ceiling, which is always the trickiest part. So I got this piece to lean up against the back of the van to then mark a scribe line, and that gives me the angle of the back of the van. There we go, perfect, nice and tight. I'm going to take this out and make the other one exactly the same. Well, I've got a little more figuring out to do on that maple, but in the meantime, this is dry, so I'm going to go ahead and mount all this stuff. There we go, operational and functional. Alright, so it's hot outside. I've never made a tambour door. So this door is made up of tiny little strips that is held together with a roll of canvas, so the strips of wood can bend around a curve. So when you push up on the door, it bends around and it comes back around. So I've made a little template that compensates for the width from the edge of the router to the bit edge. And what this will do will give me a nice even curve all the way around the board at the spacing that I want the board to be. So I had to compensate for the thickness of the actual tambour door and create a groove around the edge, so when the door is shut, it actually pushes against the face frame on the inside, so you don't see any gaps. So it comes in a quarter, the tambour will stick out a quarter, will be flush with the face of this plywood, which will be the back of the face frame. And all of this, of course, will make sense once it's all done. But for now, I have made a template to cut a groove with a nice radius so the door can slide easy. However tall your door will be in the front, you got to make the same amount of space on the back side, so when you roll it, you don't run out of room and the door doesn't open all the way. So let's cut this groove. Alright, so I got my two pieces opposite of each other. I think what's going to be easiest is if I put these in the van and then put the spacers in between it so they're equidistant of each other, exactly parallel, and then put the door in. And what I did was I routed a groove in the top so I can easily pass the board into it and then pull it around the front, and that will keep me in the groove, and I don't have to worry about going through the floor and putting the spacers on out here and it not being even on the bottom in the van, and pushing it into that tight spot might prove to be difficult if I build the whole thing outside the van. So I was going to cut a whole bunch of strips of walnut, but I ran out of walnut. But I did have a lot of strips of other exotic woods, like purple heart, maple's not that exotic, mahogany, stuff like that, African mahogany. So I got a little collection going on. I'll show you. So I cut my strips and I put them in some orientation, all different colored wood. And on the bottom side, which is going to be the top, I put little chamfers on all of them and cut dados in all the top and the bottom to fit in that little groove that I cut on those maple panels. I made this little jig to hold them tight together, and now what I'm going to do is tape the edges, and then I'm going to add some glue to that. Probably be better to use a roller for this. Once you got it good and stuck down and squeezed out as much as you can, peel that tape up before it dries. And I think we're going to wait about an hour. Don't want the glue to dry completely because it might seep down into the little cracks, and then you'll just have a big cutting board. So we'll let it dry a little bit, make it nice and tacky so it doesn't come apart, and we'll undo it and break it free and roll it and then let it dry the rest of the way. So enjoy this time lapse while we wait for this glue to dry. And we're back. Glue is dry. Let's take her out. Got to break it loose in a few places, but there it is. Alright, I broke it loose and separated the pieces. Now I'm just going to let it sit there and dry the rest of the way before I do anything else to it. And I think once that has a clear coat on it, it's going to look really cool. There's my tambour door with all this exotic wood. I left it overnight so the glue is real dry now. I sanded it quickly just to make it all uniform and smooth. And if you notice, the bottom piece is thicker than all the other ones. And this is because I'm going to add a little handle to it so it's easy to roll it up and down. I did test fit it and it fit pretty good. And now I feel confident in clear coating it, and I'm excited to see what this is going to turn out like. In this little area, I'm going to make a box for this top, and this was all right. Let's cut those pieces. Initial plan was to have the countertop, the backsplash, start on this edge and roll over and become the rest of the backsplash. So it would just be kind of a little half a circle concave looking tile backsplash. Anyway, so I attempted to do that with some plywood, and I couldn't get it to bend quite as sharp as I wanted it to. So I got this concrete board and I bent it in there, and it just wasn't looking right. I don't know, looks better in my head, I guess. Anyway, so I just put it on the wall, attached it to the plywood that was back there, and I'm now going to tile my backsplash. I'm going to cut a piece of walnut and put it right here, and I got to do my backsplash before I put my piece of walnut on there so I can butt it up against the tile and it would look nicer edge. And I also got to cut it around this outlet. Before I do the face frame of this cabinet, I got to put on this piece of walnut. Before I put on this piece of walnut, I got to do this backsplash. So I think I'm going to end this video with a time lapse of me finishing the backsplash, because it's kind of long and I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to get back to doing the face frame of this and finishing all this up, because I got a wedding to go to and I'm going to be gone for about a week or two. Anyway, enjoy this time lapse. So I just put them on there with some, same as my shower, some black silicone. In case any of it oozes out, I'm going to use black grout. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later.